Previously, Gabimaru, a shinobi from Iwabakure, is sentenced to death by the Lord but miraculously survives every execution attempt. Sajiri chronicles Gabimaru's life and discovers that he is immune to death due to the intense training he underwent. Sajiri questions why Gabimaru resists his fate. He opens up about his past and reveals that he wants to leave the village with his wife to live peacefully. Later, it is revealed that Sajiri is an executioner from the Yamada clan, sent to recruit Gabimaru for an expedition to acquire the elixir of life from the mystical land of Shinsenkyo, and the one to bring it will get official pardon and protection from Shogun. Gabimaru and Sajiri start their journey for capital to meet Shogun. Now the story continues with Sajiri reminiscing about a moment when she bore witness to her father's masterful execution of a specific form of capital punishment. The perpetrator was left completely unaware of what had occurred, their story cut short before departing this world. The act was executed flawlessly, devoid of any indication of emotion or pain. Following that fateful day, Sajiri made it her life's ambition to replicate the very stroke her father had so expertly delivered. Upon reaching the age of maturity, she took up the mantle and performed the act with precision. However, a lingering fear plagued her and disturbing visions of those she had dispatched lingered in her mind's eye. Her seniors noticed the hesitation in her blade and pointed out the doubt and trepidation she displayed. As she gazes into its reflection, she feels an overwhelming sensation wash over her. She covers Gabimaru's face with a cloth. Upon arriving at the capital, the group of criminals is gathered on a beach where they receive a formal welcome and are then informed that they are in the presence of the shogun. It's a rare occasion for these offenders, as they would never have the opportunity to have an audience with the ruler under normal circumstances, hence the need to cover their faces. The news doesn't sit well with the group, as they become increasingly agitated and vocalize their lack of reverence for the shogun. One of the officials overseeing the gathering becomes worried about the safety of having such a volatile bunch gathered together while they continue to make noise. Meanwhile, Sajiri peruses the information of some of the offenders, only to find that their crimes are so heinous that they defy reason. Her thoughts are interrupted when Gabimaru complains of difficulty breathing and expresses a desire to meet the ruler in person. One of the officials produces secret orders instructing them to travel to Shinsenkyo and retrieve the elixir of life, promising a full pardon to the one who completes the mission. Upon learning that their freedom is within reach, the atmosphere changes drastically. The criminals are excited at the prospect of being pardoned and regaining their liberty. One of the offenders, however, lets out a maniacal laugh, revealing his intention to use his freedom to continue his wicked ways. Sajiri ponders whether she can dispatch such a criminal without hesitation, given his sheer stupidity and craziness. Meanwhile, Gabimaru remains nonchalant and yawns, seemingly unfazed by the situation. A fellow prisoner, Yuzuriya, calls out to Gabimaru, acknowledging his reputation in the shinobi community. However, upon meeting him, Yuzuriya expresses disappointment, finding him to be smaller and more pitiful than the rumors suggest. Gabimaru apologizes for not living up to her expectations, and Sajiri observes their interaction with curiosity, wondering if Gabimaru is just like the other criminals or even worse. She scrutinizes him with her blade and is disturbed by what she sees. As the officials describe the island they will be traveling to, the criminals grow rowdy and skeptical, dismissing the details as mere fairy tales. They are then ordered to remove their masks, and a cart is wheeled in. The covering cloth is removed to reveal a man with flowers growing out of his body. The convicts murmur among themselves as it is explained that this man is the only survivor of a recent expedition. As they listen to the official's speech, the convicts began to feel uneasy. The man before them, the only survivor of a recent expedition, had become something other than human, and 60 others were still missing. Some of them started to question whether they should really go to this island, which seemed to be far more dangerous than they had been led to believe. One of the officials tried to reassure them, saying that if they turned into flowers, it would be a mystical blessing. But this only made the convicts angrier, feeling as though they were being mocked. Some even began to express their reluctance to go on this mission. The official shouted at them to be quiet, reminding them that they were all sentenced to death and that the shogun had allowed them to travel to paradise. But Kaien pointed out that they knew nothing about this island or whether the elixir they were seeking was even there. The official told them that anyone who wasn't happy with what was being offered could drop out, and one convict took him up on the offer. But before he could leave, Izan struck him down. The Yamada clan would accompany them as their monitors, and the official warned them not to try anything funny or they would end up like the dead convict on the floor. If their assigned monitor died, they would have to face the same fate. Despite all of this, Gabimaru remained calm, and Sajiri wondered if he was brave or simply didn't understand the gravity of the situation. The shogun whispered something to the official, who then announced that their numbers needed to be reduced due to limited capacity on the ship and the number of monitors. Aza immediately understood what he meant and began to take out prisoners to reduce their numbers. The official didn't intervene and even confirmed that anyone who died in the process would have been useless anyway. They would also keep their hands tied. The convicts wasted no time in turning on each other, their familiarity with violence evident. The shogun watched with excitement at the chaos he had incited, while the official thought it all pointless. The shogun was particularly interested in the ones who possessed rare skills, known as the seals, which bordered on superhuman abilities. They were all on display, taking out opponents with ease, but Gabimaru the Hollow stood out as a living legend. The ruler and his associates were surprised that he had yet to move from his spot, and no one dared to attack him. Aizen noticed Sajiri's discomfort with the extreme violence, and he voiced his opinion that she wasn't suited for the job. This caused her to jolt a little, but she took a deep breath and asserted that she was more than capable. Despite her family's history with death, she had chosen to be involved in the warrior lifestyle from a young age. As some of the convicts saw her as an easy target, she proved them wrong by swiftly taking them out, though the burden of taking lives weighed heavily on her. Gabimaru intervened, reminding everyone that killing was never acceptable and suggesting they find a non-violent solution. The officials remained on guard as he approached the shogun, who listened intently. Gabimaru speaks up, highlighting that while they may all be skilled at killing, not all of them do it by choice. He refuses to be used in this way, but the official takes offense, seeing it as a sign of disrespect towards the shogun. However, Gabimaru is undeterred and adds that it's only natural to avoid ending someone's life if it's not necessary. Despite warnings to watch his tongue, Gabimaru feels frustrated that his words are falling on deaf ears. The officials then point to a random criminal and offer him a place on the expedition if he kills Gabimaru. The shinobi tries to reason with the attacker, but he throws a rock at Gabimaru instead of listening. Gabimaru gives them one last chance to see reason, but they refuse and insist on taking his life. He sighs once more, disappointed that they have chosen death. He warns them that he will end them if they try to attack him. As he walks toward his attackers, his demeanor changes. Sajiri takes note of his statement about burdening himself with their deaths. Gabimaru proceeds to effortlessly take down each of his attackers, as he finishes the last one at the water's edge. The shogun drops his fan in terror at the sight. As Gabimaru flicks the red residue from his hair, the criminals call him a monster. Sajiri notices the souls of those he has taken holding onto him, but Gabimaru remains resolute. Aizen criticizes his brutal methods, to which Gabimaru sarcastically asks if he would prefer it if he made it look pretty instead. This comment triggers an epiphany in Sajiri, who realizes that it's not just about gaining strength or overcoming fear, but also about being able to bear the weight of the lives she has taken. She sheds a tear but quickly wipes it away, while Gabimaru washes off the rest of the mess from his face and body. The officials intervene to stop any further fighting and announce that the remaining criminals with red seals will be joining the expedition, accompanied by monitors from the Yamada clan. The next day, they set off to the uncharted island, with Gabimaru watching as Shensenkyo comes into view through the fog. This brings an end to the episode. If you missed the previous episode, you can click on the right video. Support us by subscribing to our channel Annie Explainer.